Lesson, isn't it?
National TV.
Moving on, today is the first day of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and one woman has used her experience with the disease to offer guidance to thousands of others.
2 years ago, Yvonne Hughes was 37 years old, preparing to celebrate her son's second birthday and about to be told that she had early breast cancer.
When the doctor actually said it's breast cancer, I felt like my whole world was falling apart. I felt like I was falling through the floor. It was just, I was in a state of shock.
Along with the daunting news came plenty of medical information and personal survival stories. But what she really needed was just some good, friendly advice about how to get through it.
I wanted practical help. I wanted something that was positive but not putting a gloss on things. The stories weren't very helpful to me because they were individual journeys and everybody's different.
For Yvonne, she found that advice in hospital.
It was in the conversations that I had in waiting rooms and doctors' surgeries and with other women who'd been through breast cancer. There is a lot of information out there and people were really happy to share it.
And so she decided to write the one book she'd wished she'd had at the very beginning of her treatment. The kind of stuff that a good friend might tell you.
When you pick up this book, it's like sitting down with a trusted friend and sharing the real nitty-gritty stuff.
It's practical advice you mightn't think of, like get a box for all the cancer paraphernalia so you know where it is, but it doesn't take over your house. Try to be positive, but not obsessively so, because that's exhausting. Stay off Dr. Google. And when you're going through chemo, eat and drink a lot of ginger. It's clinically proven to reduce nausea. This year, it's estimated that almost 15,000 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer. 88% of them are likely to survive. For the thousands of women who've just been diagnosed, a little bit of friendly advice can go a long way.
Yvonne Hughes is the author of One Piece of Advice, a breast cancer survivor, and she joins us now. Yvonne, 2 years down the track, how are you feeling now?
I'm doing really well, thank you. I finished all my treatment, back to normal activities, normal life, all good.
Now, you've written this wonderful book based on all the best bit of advice that you were given. Was there one personally that stood out?
I think if I was going to pick a piece of advice, it's really about the breast checks. You know, it's October, everyone's, you know, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. That's really important. It really does save lives. And most people who are watching today won't have breast cancer, so that's something that they can do themselves and should be doing. If people are watching and they do have breast cancer, I think my advice is that October is going to be tough. It's confronting. There are stories about breast cancer everywhere, but it is really important. The awareness does save lives, and I used to think of it as taking a hit for the team.
Well, Yvonne, you had a 2-year-old at the time of your diagnosis. There are lots of mums and dads around the country with young children going through cancer. Do you have a bit of advice you were given that you could pass on to them?
Just from my personal experience, my child was just coming up to 2 and he was a bit too young to actually sit down and discuss breast cancer with. But he did understand that mummy didn't feel well and mummy was a bit sick. So I think that the advice is to be honest with children. They do pick up on things. But there are also a lot of great resources just for kids. Cancer Council has some information on how you can talk to children, and Canteen has a piece of literature for children who are 12 onwards. So, you know, it's written for them. They can read up about it themselves if a parent is sick.
Now, Yvonne, from one parent to another, I just want some advice on how you can complete a book with small children.
During their day sleep.
Oh, God. Well, you're a miracle worker. Well done.
But day sleep is the only time that Hughesy has to himself.
Well, Yvonne, thanks so much for sharing your tips with us. All the best with your recovery, and yeah, hope things continue to go really well for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
And 10% of all the profits from Yvonne's book, One Piece of Advice, go to the Cancer Council of New South Wales and other cancer charities. Her book's available online. Head to our website for the details.
Now, all this week, we're celebrating the great work